Hello, and welcome to our 2020 Cancer Wellness Speaker Series. I'm Lori Ball, and this is my partner at Faith and Gratitude, Kathy Alexander. Faith and Gratitude is a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering and educating cancer patients. And what better forum than this series? This is our very first online event, and we are thrilled that you chose to be with us.
How wonderful to be with everyone today. Our three-part speaker series is designed to bring you topics that help you strengthen your mind, body, and spirit. Whether you've just been diagnosed or going through treatment, maybe you're a cancer survivor, or even a caregiver, we want to bring you knowledge that will help you on your healing journey.
Today we are featuring Carol Laurie, a naturopath, acupuncturist, homeopath, and functional medical expert. With over 30 years' experience in the field of natural health care, Carol lives in Berkeley, California, where she provides personalized care and attention to those battling cancer and other chronic illnesses. She concentrates on optimizing the body's natural, innate healing ability. She helps her patients tap into their inner connection and their body's natural healing powers.
Lori and I met Carol last year, and we loved her premise. Tapping into your own body's innate ability to heal. That's really, really powerful. Today, Carol is going to speak on exploring common cancer myths and how they can impact your treatment plan. We all hear differing opinions at times, and it can really be confusing. So I'm looking forward to learning more from her.
That is really true, Kath. As an ovarian cancer survivor myself, I know the mixed messaging that a patient receives. So I'm looking forward to hearing Carol. Let's sit back and relax and watch together.
Hello everyone, it's Carol Laurie, and I'm so honored and excited to be here with you to participate in the 2020 Faith and Gratitude Cancer Wellness Speaker Series. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a naturopath, an acupuncturist, a homeopath, and I've had a clinical practice in Berkeley for the last 30 years where I've focused on providing integrative and complementary tools for people with serious chronic illness such as cancer. And today I'm here to speak with you about exploring cancer myths because I feel it's very important when people first come in and they've been initially diagnosed, or even if they're in the middle or through treatment, that we think about and we explore what are your attitudes about cancer and how does that influence the experience you're going to have during and after active treatment. And over the years, I've condensed this into 5 cancer myths, and they are: cancer is a horrible experience. People are thinking that it is horrible. It's going to be horrible all the time, that I'm going to be sick all the time during treatment. What I eat doesn't matter. Supplements can be dangerous, and my attitude doesn't make a difference. It's not going to impact my healing. But I've found over the many years and the hundreds of people I've worked with that it is possible to contain the chaos of cancer. Cancer is a very chaotic illness, and we can work together to contain that, to support you and calm your nervous center and have you have a more positive experience. Yes, it is possible during and even after your treatment. So let's talk about the first myth, that cancer is a horrible experience, and some of the concerns people share with me, that they're going to have horrible nausea, chronic digestive problems, unrelenting fatigue, they won't be able to eat, and it's going to be extremely disruptive of their home life and work schedule. And you get to the place where it is very easy to feel like cancer has taken over your life. And I understand that, and we need to work to find some moments where it's just you and not always about your cancer. Now, we just recently had fires in California and Oregon, and lots of people lost their home. We cannot control forest fires and we can't control weather, but we do have the ability to control what our experience is about a certain illness and how we move through that treatment to have a more internal connection during makes a really big difference. And you can use these tools to work within the lines of conventional care. It's not one or the other, it's including both, which I feel has the best impact and benefit for your long-term health moving forward. And cancer does not need to be scary and traumatic. there's been quite a bit of research done on trauma. And there are 3 things that I think we need to include in your protocol to reduce the traumatic experience of cancer. The first is knowledge. I think understanding, number 1, what type of cancer you have, what are the driving genetic and genomic and environmental impacts, influences, how can we support you through your chemotherapy, what is chemotherapy doing for you, and then preparing you for chemotherapy and preparing you for radiation, preparing you for surgery, physically and emotionally can really make a difference. And then the third thing that I want to share, which I think is really very helpful, is support. Because support gives you the foundation, holds up your foundation, so you can hold your head high and know that you're going to get through and really empower you during and through and after your treatment. And there's lots of different modalities available to people these days for integrative or complementary care. There's IV therapy, there's saunas, there's Reiki therapy, and there's acupuncture, which I do in my practice. But for here now with you, I'm going to share with you what I feel is the most foundational aspects of integrative or complementary care, which is targeted supplements, focused nutrition, empowered and positive mindset, and developing a healthy lifestyle that works for you. It's very individual. And these will work together as a team to support your medical treatments, keep your body and your mind as healthy as possible, reduce the side effects, and then move forward when you're done with active treatment to help you minimize risk of recurrence, which is always on everybody's mind. The second myth is that you're going to be sick during treatment. And people say to me, I know I'm going to be sick all the time. So when you say a statement like that, that energy gets into your body. And there's a difference between the energy that you feed your body by saying, I know I'm going to be sick all the time, versus, well, I may be sick some of the time, but I also know what I can do to really reduce that feeling in addition to the medication you're getting from your doctor. I won't have any energy. Well, I may not have energy some of the time, but I'm going to use my tools to rest, and then I'm going to take my supplements and my smoothie, so I'll have energy some of the time. I'm going to have digestive problems constantly. Well, you may have some side effects from treatment, but we can help restore the health of your gut, protect the health of your gut through our integrative tools. I won't be able to get out of bed to take care of my family. That is a very big concern. And what we're going to do is help you develop some tools and some people to come in and help you, so you will be able to rest and your family will be able to get the care they need. Now, as part of our preparation, I want to talk about a protocol that I've developed, science-based, that minimizes chemotherapy side effects. And the first thing I want to say is you don't want to go out and have a steak tonight and then go to chemotherapy the next day and think you won't be getting sick. We need to prepare. And we do this through intermittent fasting. Now, the Western way of living in the world doesn't have fasting as part of our reality, but religions have fasting as part of their reality. The Jewish people celebrate Yom Kippur, where we don't eat for a day. Christians have Lent, where they don't eat meat. They only eat fish on Fridays for a period of time. And the Muslims have Ramadan, where they don't eat during the day and they only eat when the sun sets for a period of time. So religions somehow understand the benefit of fasting. And I think that as our culture becomes more health conscious, we'll begin to incorporate this into everyone's diet and lifestyle. So what we want to do, and what research has found, is that the benefits of fasting begin to kick in really at the 12 to 16 hour mark of fasting. Now, if you've never fasted, and we as Americans were brought up as we have to eat breakfast and we're not used to feeling hungry. So you want to start out by, when you have dinner the night before, you don't snack after dinner. You just want to go from eating your dinner and then you drink herb tea and water. You go to sleep. Maybe you'll be a little bit hungry, but you'll be able to tolerate it because you'll be asleep. And then you wake up the next morning. So if you eat the last time at, let's say, 7 o'clock, and you wake up and you go for your chemo in the morning, that's like a good 10, 12 hours of intermittent fasting. And that's a really good beginning. And then you want to empty your intestines, because most Americans, no matter what we feel, if we are often constipated, whether we think so or not. And that's very easily addressed by getting some Smooth Move tea, which you can find at the health food store, and drinking a cup of tea for 2 nights before your infusion. It'll help move things along. And you want to bring a healing tea with you to chemo, and that is, once again, easily found at the health food store. Mint tea, chamomile, and a nub of ginger, which you're going to scrape off the skin and chop it into pieces and let it simmer in the tea, and then strain it and put this tea in with your thermos and bring it with you to chemo. It will help calm and settle your stomach. And while you're receiving chemo, you can download a meditation app or a calming app and get your body and your mind centered. And you can then use that time to really visualize how the chemotherapy is being absorbed by the cancerous cells, and the healthy cells are being protected. And that's one of the things that happens with intermittent fasting. What they found is that cancer cells crave glucose. So when you fast, the cancer cells get hungry. And so when you go for chemo, the cancer feels that this is food, and it grabs up that chemotherapy, and the healthy cells have gone into protection mode, and they've put a wall around themselves. So the cancer cells are grabbing up the chemo, and the healthy cells are in protective mode, and they take up less of the chemo. And this is one of the ways that we can protect the healthy cells and also reduce your side effects. And we use the same tools for minimizing radiation side effects. Although you want to be careful, because you're doing radiation every day, you might not want to be drinking that Smooth Move tea every day. You want to stay hydrated with the healing tea. And we also add miso soup and lots of seaweed, the kind that you find in sushi, because that is radioprotective. It will help protect your healthy cells. And preparing these protocols can really make a difference in how you feel. So the third myth is that what you eat doesn't matter. And there is the field of epigenetics. And epigenetics is the study of what causes certain cells to turn on and what causes certain cells to turn off. Now, cancer is an illness where the healthy cells, which usually stop growth, have for various reasons stopped being able to function. And that allows the cancer cells to just stop paying attention to the rules. They're not stopping anymore. They're not merging. You think that they would, and normally they would, but they're not. So one of the ways that we can get these cells, which have become out of the box and stop paying attention to the rules, to get back in line, is how we eat. And of course, you're doing that also with your medical treatments, but we want to use both. So nutrition across the board in my practice is the foundation for all of the work I do, and it can really work to help soothe your gut with fermented foods. It can either be pro-inflammatory if you eat hamburgers and things like that and sugar, or it can really reduce inflammation if you're eating lots of vegetables, and it provides your body with the targeted nutrients that she needs. And here is an example of what happens when we eat broccoli. So broccoli is a sulfur-containing food, and this sulforaphane in it has the ability to have anti-tumor effects and anti-estrogenic effects on breast cancer receptors. And this is one of the ways that we use epigenetics to influence how our cells act. And in addition to eating broccoli steamed, I take the fat ends that come from broccoli and I juice them in my daily juice. But so there's some basics that we use all the time for our nutrition. First is that the food should be organic as much as possible. It's especially true with strawberries. Strawberries are the fruit which can absorb the most amount of toxins if they're sprayed. And if you have cancer, your body's already in toxic overload. So we really want to be respectful of not adding more chemicals and toxins to your body. And you want to rotate your food as the seasons change. And for example, so in the summer, you're craving salads and watermelon. And in the winter, most of us crave, when it's cold out, we want warm soups. We want baked zucchini or baked squash. And we go for warmer foods. And that's being in touch with the seasons. And we want to eliminate sugar and processed foods as much as possible. I'll be talking about sugar in a minute, but processed foods lack phytonutrients, and they've put chemicals into the food to make them look and taste a certain way. So they've taken out what we need, and they've put other stuff in there which often has saturated fat. It's not going to provide your body with the nutrients they need. And you want your body to be your plate to be a vegetable-centric plate. So when you look at your plate, it's like 60% vegetables on it. Now, this photo here with all of these American foods, pizza and hamburgers and French fries, I mean, unfortunately, most people eat this way. And this is what they call the Standard American Diet, or SAD. And not only is it SAD, it's also very dangerous because it's a major contributor to obesity, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, gut problems, cancer, depression. I mean, you name it. This is one of the reasons so many Americans are finding themselves sick. But there's a lot of confusion now if you're on a health trajectory. What diet should I eat? There's paleo, there's vegan, there's vegetarianism, there's keto, there's juicing, there's a raw diet. I mean, I have people come into me on all forms of diets. And I'm research oriented. So if you have brain cancer, there is clear evidence that the keto diet is the most beneficial for you. If you have colon cancer, you don't want to eat a lot of meat. That's been well established. But for other cancers, especially breast cancer, which I see a lot of, I use a modified Mediterranean diet in my approach. And there is a basic nutrition for a foundational support across all these different diets. And it has to do with the colors that you see in front of you of the vegetables. And if you'll notice how the colors are really vibrant, and the vibrancy in these colors reflect the nutrients and the phytochemicals that are in the food, that then when you eat them, they get into the body and they really impact your epigenetics. So outside of vegetables, there's lots of yummy foods to eat. And I tend to think of what we can eat versus what we can't. So in the grain department, I recommend that people be gluten-free. And for two reasons. One, a lot of the gluten in America has GMOs. And two, gluten is inflammatory. And we want to reduce inflammatory process as much as possible. But it doesn't mean you can't ever eat grains. There's, amaranth, millet, quinoa. I love wild rice. There's teff, which has a lot of protein in it. And you want to focus on healthy fats. And I recommend eating olive oil as your prime oil. And the greener it is, the better. It has more of the essential fats that you need. You want to avoid margarines and things like that are filled with saturated fat. A lot of people also eat coconut oil, which is very positive for you. And as far as proteins are concerned, if you're going to eat red meat, you really want to ensure that it is farm to table or organic, because if it's not organic, it's been fed antibiotics and it tends to have a more inflammatory process in your body when you eat it. And fermented foods are part of every culture. And in America, we have sauerkraut, there's pickles, but you want to make sure they're actually fermented and not just made with vinegar. And in the Asian countries, there's miso and kimchi and tempeh. And you want to make sure if you're eating kombucha that it doesn't have sugar in it. If you're going to eat dairy, some people can do it and some people can't. I'm not a big proponent of cow's milk. Sheep and goat's milk. Feta is great. So you want to focus on the yogurt and the kefir in the dairy department. And here is an example of a Mediterranean style food plate. Now, the Mediterranean diet, the reason I've chosen this is it's the easiest to transition from the standard American diet to this diet. It's just a healthier version of itself. And it's not only easy to eat in the home, you can go out to eat when we're able to do that again. You can go out to eat and go to most restaurants and get a salad, steamed vegetables, or sauteed vegetables and a piece of grilled protein, fish or chicken, and feel like you're, nurtured and having fun, which is really one of the main components of food, isn't it? And not only is it delicious for you, but your whole family, you can get to eat this way, which is really what we're aiming for. We want to help everyone in your family have healthy eating habits. Now, here's the thing about cancer. Cancer cells are ravenous for energy, and they get it from sugar and carbs. And there's something called the Warburg effect. And the Warburg effect was discovered in 1931, or actually 1924, by a German scientist, Otto Warburg, and he won the Nobel Medicine Peace Prize for that, Nobel Medicine Prize, in 1931. And what he discovered is that cancer, given a choice for energy between glucose, which is sugar, or oxygen, it will choose glucose even though that pathway does not provide it with as much energy as the oxygen pathway does, and it has to work harder for that energy. It takes sugar across the board. So this is a foundational approach. If you have cancer, you really want to not eat sugar. And when I first started supporting people with cancer, I was going to chemotherapy with a dear friend of mine, and I was shocked that no less than 4 times during a 3-hour infusion was she offered a lollipop or a hard candy, a popsicle, orange juice, which is pure sugar, or glucose water. So here you are, trying to kill the cancer cells, and she's being given sugar. So these are some simple tools that you want to begin to incorporate it in your new reality of thinking about, what is your health and what is your healing journey. And the key is that nutrition and supplements can work together to encourage a healthy environment inside of you, which will work towards helping with your oncology care, eradicate the cancer cells, and then helping them, encouraging them to go on a more healthy, get back in line, get back in the healthy healing path. So the 4th myth is that supplements can be dangerous. And actually, I think that we need to be careful with supplements, because people, when I initially see them, I have them bring in everything they're taking into my office. And I've been surprised by some of the quality of products that people have. They've gotten them over the counter at the pharmacy, at the supermarket, and even at a health food store. And the issue that I have is, unless they're a certain brand that are made to pharmaceutical quality standards, sometimes you don't know what's on the bottle. What's on the label is in the bottle. And I think that is something that we all need to be aware of. So you want to work with a practitioner who has a clear understanding and uses supplements that are made to pharmaceutical quality standards. Research and development, quality control is very important. And supplements, some people say they should be avoided during treatment, but I'll talk about that in a minute. They don't impact your health. That's actually not correct. They have the ability to make a huge difference. And as I said, people think they won't make a difference, and they actually can and will. And you never know what's in them, and that's up to the practitioner to help you make the right decisions and choices. And there's a lot of supplements out there, but I'm going to talk about a few of them. But I want to talk about, what do foundational supplements do for you and your cancer journey. They can help restore nutrients that have been depleted by chemotherapy or radiation. They can specifically influence biochemical aspects, which are driving forces of your cancer. They can inhibit inflammatory pathways, and they can encourage healing pathways. And moving forward, they can help reduce the risk of recurrence. So, as I mentioned, there's unlimited supplements and there's unlimited herbs. But across the board, if you want to know what are the top 5 that I can use safely, here they are. So I'm going to talk about curcumin, which is turmeric. And you can see the beautiful orange color here. And the interesting thing about turmeric is it's an Indian spice initially. And in Indian cooking, it's always used with black pepper. And if you look on a label and you have a good quality of turmeric, you'll see that there's some black pepper in there. And that's because black pepper is needed to activate the active ingredient that is in curcumin or turmeric. So I find that really interesting. It has a lot to do with signaling pathways in breast cancer, but across the board for any cancer, it can reduce how cells replicate, and it acts as a very powerful antioxidant. And it can also actually benefit you when you're having chemotherapy. It can potentize chemotherapy, which is a good thing. Vitamin D comes from sunshine, and the sun hits our skin, and then that's the beginning of how vitamin D is synthesized in our body. And most Americans are vitamin D deficient. I'd like vitamin D to be between the range of 50 and 65 when we test for vitamin D through a blood draw. And most people, when they first come in, are very deficient. So when you first start out on vitamin D supplementation, first of all, you want to make sure it's from a pharmaceutical quality product. And I believe that we only need to take 5,000 a day. Sometimes if people are super low, I might put them on 10,000 IUs for a week or two, but it is a fat-soluble vitamin, so I think 5,000 is really sufficient. And it has a lot of antiviral and anti-cancer properties, and it's a basic foundational immune support, which is really important right now as we come across to the winter months. Now, quercetin is the most common flavonoid that we see in our diet. It's found in apples and oranges, grapes and berries and broccoli and green algae products. And it has a lot of antihistamine components. So when people have allergies, I always give them quercetin. But it also has a lot to do with cancer and heart disease and psoriasis and skin problems. But we also see it as it's a powerful antioxidant as it is concerning cancer, and it goes around and eats up those free radicals, which we don't want in our body. Now this is beautiful resveratrol. Look at those gorgeous color grapes, and the resveratrol is the blue or the black in grapes and plums and berries. And once I was at a winery and they had just pressed a whole bunch of grapes, and they had this huge pile of beautiful compressed grapes, and I said to the woman, that is resveratrol. That is so healing. And we all sat around eating handfuls of it, even though it was just the skin. It was organic, and it felt really good to put that in my body. So resveratrol, as far as breast cancer is concerned, it reduces cell growth, but it also does that for any type of cancer or any type of inflammation, and it helps the body resist free radical damage. Zinc is another very important essential trace element that we need for all components of cell health. It helps the cellular structure, the function, and the metabolism, and it's required for all aspects of your metabolic health and your immune system and also reproduction. It exerts cytoprotective influence on cells, meaning it helps protect the cells from cancer, and it also regulates how cells grow. It's very important for your immune health, and most people in America are zinc deficient. I recommend 50 milligrams a day, especially with the winter months coming up. Now, there is concern that fear of supplements will interfere with treatment. I actually think that is a valid concern. And one of the things I want to talk about, two supplements that should not be used when you're in the middle of treatment. One is glutamine, which is amino acid, which people come in and they're taking it to repair their health, the gut of their health. And glutamine helps repair the gut health by helping the stomach cells regenerate. And that same energy can be then transferred to helping cancer cells grow. So absolutely no glutamine in any way or where of your cancer situation. And the other is vitamin E or annatto-tocotrienols. Now, annatto-tocotrienols are very positive and powerful for oxidative stress post-radiation. But vitamin E and annatto-tocotrienols during radiation, absolutely you don't want to be taking them because they will interfere with the radiation. So there's a time and a place for supplements, and you need to know how and when to use them. But across the board, outside of these two, it's very easy to work with a chemotherapy schedule, you stop taking your supplements 2 to 3 days before your infusion, then you have your infusion, and then you go back to your supplements 2 to 3 days after. And of course, you're going to have conversations with your oncologist about that. I often am in contact with oncologists and explain things in work, and it's always very amicable. But the opposite is also true. Just as supplements can interfere, they can also help. And this is a photo of ashwagandha, which is a Chinese herb which has the biochemical component of withoferin A. And here we have a situation in which, and here is not the herb, but here's a picture of the berry. Here we have a situation where an herb can really benefit you. First of all, ashwagandha is a very powerful energetic support. It helps give you energy, and it has the ability to know what you need. Plants are very interesting that way. It can enhance your immunosuppressed cells, so it can bring more self-immunity to you, and it can protect you against the cardiotoxicity that is often common from the chemotherapy doxorubicin, which I think is amazing. And it has anti-tumor and radiosensitizing impact. So there's a lot to be said for being on ashwagandha and knowing how and when to use it. And we want to remember that herbs are the original medicine. They were here for thousands of years before we started using allopathic drugs, and we can continue to honor and respect them in combination with medication. The fifth myth, which is also my favorite, I think, is that attitude won't impact your healing. And I hear phrases like, it's all in my head, I'm oversensitive, or I'm overreacting, and I just have to grit my teeth and get through it, and it's hopeless anyway. And I think that we all have these negative components in our brain and these negative voices. And the first step in healing is to become aware of how they impact you and how prevalent they are. And it's not something that you can just say, shut up and go away. I mean, that's not a way that we need to talk to ourselves or treat ourselves. We have to understand that on a deeper level, these negative thoughts often come from trauma and fear. And once we begin to interact with them and embrace them, they then lose our hold over us. And here's the benefit of a positive mindset. I mean, when you work your way through it, as opposed to telling it to shut up, the volume of these negative thoughts are reduced, and you can have a more positive and optimistic mindset. And this has to do with my feminine approach towards dealing with cancer. We're not at war with cancer. We're not conquering cancer. We're not attacking cancer. It's not a competition, because who are you at war with? Yourself? I mean, who are you attacking? Yourself? Your cancer is a part of who you are. And what I recommend is we all become quiet and sit still, and then ask some important questions about what is the tumor, what is the cancer, whatever it is, what are the messages that you need to hear from that. And that is the beginning, from my perspective, of a healing path. And we all need to embrace that, because cancer isn't an alien invader. And I've created this really, which I think is a very comprehensive, beautiful little chart about all the components that go into you when you have a cancer diagnosis. And at the top, of course, we have faith and gratitude. I'll come back to that in a minute. But I want to go through each one of these circles. We have oncology medicine, and you want to find an oncologist who will really respect and listen to you, and you're a partner. I mean, the doctor does have more medical knowledge, but if you're in touch with yourself, you want to be involved in those decisions actively. And you want to use all the skills that I've mentioned to you today about how to eat during and after your chemotherapy and after you've done active treatment. And if you have a very high stress life, whether it's from relationship or job, stress is very impactful for your inflammation, and it's going to be very difficult to heal if you're stressed all the time. So you want to begin to think about, what can I do to reduce my stress? And we all need restorative sleep. And sleep is something that Americans are not getting enough of. Most people are sleep deprived for one reason or another. But if you find yourself staying up late at night, being on social media or watching television, that's a sign of depressive behavior, and you want to get some help with that. Supplements, as I mentioned, important part of your healing protocol. Work with somebody to find a few products that will really benefit you and make sure they're made to pharmaceutical quality standards. Otherwise, you're wasting your money, and more importantly, you could be doing yourself some damage. Healthy lifestyle. If you are a person who has never exercised, we need to get you up and moving, whatever that is that appeals to you. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, when the weather is nice, walking, swimming, whatever it is. I personally have these videotapes that I plug in, and I use my weights and I exercise for 45 minutes to an hour, 5 times a week. I don't have to leave my home. It's very simple. Find something that works for you. Now, environmental toxins. I want to talk a little bit about this. And this is, I had a woman come in, she didn't have cancer, but she had unexplained infertility. And I think that expression is really interesting because from my perspective, there's always a reason for this. And there's always a reason for unexplained infertility. So she came in, she had a lot of perfume on. And I was wondering, I said, what's with you and scent? She goes, oh, I love scent. And I said, well, when you go home, can you take a picture of everything that you have in your house that is scented or your cleaning products and put it on the countertop? And she had 29 different items there. And in those 29 different items, there was the plug-ins, there was the candlesticks, there was the little sticks that hang out in oil, and then she was spraying her sofa with that chemical, supposedly that it's used to take off smells. And all of those odors through the nose and through the skin and the dryer sheets get into the body, and they take up a spot. They're known as estrogen disruptors. They get into the body and they take up a spot where normal wealthy estrogen would bind to be eliminated. And because she had these in her house, they weren't allowing the estrogen to normally bind and be eliminated. And that was what I think was one of the factors of her infertility. And it's a big factor in breast cancer. So she had to throw out her sofa because we couldn't clean it of the chemicals. And 3 months after eliminating all of these products from her home, she was pregnant. And so the last is faith and gratitude. Faith is different for everyone. Faith can be religion. Faith can be spirituality. There is no one way, and everybody's path is different. And we need to be respectful and honor everyone's individual path and journey. But I think it's an important part of all healing and all life. And gratitude is about being able to appreciate small moments. It's a very difficult time in our society right now. A lot of people are suffering, and we have to be grateful for this moment, for what we have, that we're all here together. And sometimes that's, a few moments a day of having faith and having positive gratitude and feelings of love. They're all connected, and they can really make a difference in your healing journey. And almost lastly, I think cancer is an opportunity. And what changes do you need to make when you think about your life that you're not quite being honest with yourself? Do you need to add something? Do you need to subtract something or someone? Do you need to remove something? It's not uncommon for people to realize that they have certain friendships that are not serving them, and they have to let these people go for a while. So using all these tools and protocols really work together to allow you to embrace your new healing path. And being connected in the inside makes a huge difference in how you view your cancer, and how you manage your treatment, and then how you recover from active treatment and move through to really reduce risk of recurrence. It's been very wonderful to share with you and hang out with you today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at my website, carollourie.com. I look forward to connecting in the future, and I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. That's all for now. Take care, and there'll be more later.
What a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Carol. We truly hope Carol's message has inspired you to begin the process of working on you.
I can't agree more, Lori. I loved her insight, and when she spoke about attitude and how important it is, it really rang true to me. It's just a lot of great information for all of us.
If you have any questions at all for Carol regarding her presentation, jot them down now so you don't forget. She'd love to hear from you. Her email address is health@berkeleynaturalhealing.com.
And if you'd like to work directly with Carol, she has a wonderful integrative online program that supports patients before, during, and after treatment. Also, Carol has one-on-one consultations, which can be a wonderful complement to your oncologist. You can learn more at her website, carollaurie.com.
Now, for everyone who is here today, if you are going through treatment or getting ready to start treatment, Carol has 2 wonderful downloadable ebooks that she would like to share with you. The first is 3 tools to reduce chemotherapy side effects, and the second, 4 tools to protect your body through radiation treatment.
Again, thank you for being with us today. We hope you'll join us for our next speaker, Rick Shapiro, on October 23rd. Rick is the author of the amazing book, Hope Never Dies, and it truly, truly brings hope to cancer patients. Until then, remember to learn, to research, and be empowered.
And finally, we would like to thank all of Faith and Gratitude's dedicated sponsors. Without their support, this series just would not be possible. Until we meet again in October, please visit our website, www.faithandgratitude.org.